Hello and welcome everyone to Naval Northgard video on this channel. I'm the Crazy Dentist and I'm happy to present you the recap of the last AMA with Shiro games. This AMA were organized by Weihnachtsmann, the guy who already organized the last AMA. Big thanks go out to him for that. And this time he had a lot of questions for Atlethleon, the new community manager of Northgard that had his debut of AMAs with the Northgard community here with us. So give him a warm welcome right here and let's jump right into the AMA. This time we really had a lot of different questions in the AMA, so I can definitely not go over all of them. I pick out a few that I think are the most important in there and the most interesting to talk about. And I really hope that I don't forget anything important. If there is some questions that you think that we should talk about that I didn't cover in this video, feel free to just drop it down in the comments and we can discuss over that right there. So let's not talk around anymore and actually jump into the first question. The first question that really grabbed my interest were, are there any special victory conditions like Yggdrasil planned on Ragnarok? And the answer were that there are actually some in work right now, and I think that it's quite interesting because on Ragnarok we just right now only have the volcano in the middle, and it would be quite nice to have a little bit of change there, of course, to not always have the volcano in the middle. While I can't really say how that will look in the end, if there are actually Ragnarok maps in the end where there will be no volcano in the middle and there is another victory condition instead of that, or if there is actually another victory condition just beside the volcano, because the volcano is of course not a real victory condition and more like an event that happens for every player on the map. But if you would force me to say something right now, I would actually guess that the volcano would then not be on the map and you actually have another victory condition there instead of that. Well, I can't of course know that. The thing that made me think about that were actually the next question in line, where somebody asked why there are actually two middle symbols on the map for the volcano. That could have led you think that they might try to set a second win condition next to the volcano in the future and just forgot to put it out. But he said that it's just a bug and nothing to worry about, so I would just guess that the volcano most likely will be gone if there are other victory conditions that can come instead of it. So another interesting question for me were if Shiro actually plans on buffing the Raven clan in the future, and I would actually say that the Raven clan is still a really strong clan. That's why I cover this question right here, because I can imagine that you as a Raven player sometimes feel a little bit depressed that your clan so often gets hit by nerfs. But it only hits by nerfs because it's such a stable clan and they actually try to get it a little bit more on the level of other clans. And even though you can feel a little bit lost if you don't get a lot of shores, with a few shores, even with the weaker shipbuilding, I feel like you can still make a lot happen with the Raven clan, only with the happiness you will get out of exotic goods and journeymen. Afterwards the question came up if we could have a defensive building to hide villagers in, and I think that's a quite interesting thought. The first thing I of course thought about were the orcs in Warcraft 3. Like, I think most of you know what I'm talking about. You can send them into a little building and it will start the more villagers you put into a building, and with that you can actually have a quite strong defensive choice right there. But it is of course something you will need to think about. In Northgard you can just right now not attack houses. That is something that would need to be changed for that, so you can actually destroy the thing that the villagers are sitting in. This is something that could completely change the outcome of the game or the feel of the game. And I think that's definitely something that needs to be a little bit play tested before and see if that actually fits into Northgard. The next question were if we will see the enemies that we saw in the campaign that we not yet saw in the normal multiplayer mode, at some time. Like there would be, for example, the fire Jotnuns from the last mission, the undead Jotnuns from the 9th mission, I'm quite sure, or the giant ice worm, how it would be called in the question. But Shiro Games is not actually planning to put them into normal games, and I can understand the decision, right? Because they want that you have a special feeling in the campaign that you only can have in the campaign, and if you would have just giant ice worms always around the map in the normal Northgard game, it wouldn't just be something special anymore to actually boot up the campaign and do this mission anymore. So I can understand why they want to keep the unique feel of the campaign right there and not pull everything they have right there into the multiplayer so everyone can play it then every game. And it of course feels then a little bit more stale if you have it so often. Like the giant ice worm is still something special if you boot up the campaign and really play against it. It would definitely be something else if you would have him around you every game. After that the question came up how the numbers are actually rounded in Northgard, and I hear this question quite often, and it's why I like to answer it right here. The numbers are just rounded how you would round a number in your normal life, I would say. Like, I think from 1.4 you go down and from 1.5 you go up. But you will always get that many resources that are your actual number on. So if you have 1.3 food, it will not round down to 1 food and you will only get 1 food for all the time. You will get the realistical food from 1.3. It just doesn't show it to you in your UI, so it looks a little bit more appealing, so you don't have all these comma numbers all the time up there, and it is a little bit more clean and rounded up. The next question, if there will be new abilities, like military abilities for different units, can be answered quite quickly. Yes, there will be, but no, they can't really tell us what they will be, of course, because it should be kind of a surprise. After that, the old question came up if naval combat is going to be a thing. And there's again the problem that there is no real purpose to have naval fight going on. Like, it would of course be nice, I would also enjoy to have some ships riding around, but it doesn't really make sense since you usually don't really have something to defend on the water. Like, the natural thing you will need to have a naval fight going on is something to defend right there. And just putting it on there for the sake of having it, I don't think that would be all too fitting into Northgard. Of course there would be a good if there would be a good reason, it would be something that would be really intriguing and nice to play most likely. But since it would just feel like something right now that just got Frankensteined onto the game, I don't think it would be all too good of a reason for now. Maybe with a later update when you give the players a little bit more of a reason to defend the water right now. But just now, I don't think it's all to be of a good thing to just get it into there for the sake of having it. So there are new hotkeys planned. For all the players that keep on asking about that, they are in the planning and they will come out at some point. They are still not planning to make Northgard like one of the highest APM games you can get around there, but there will still come a few new hotkeys in to make the game a little bit more fluent and nice to play, I guess. The next question were if Shiro games will address the kobolds in Ragnarok, or in general right now, because in normal Northgard they are also run around, because they can actually end your game if you are very close to them and your opponent not. I think this is of course quite harsh, because I don't think they will completely end your game. I had one quite harsh experience with the kobolds that were still in the beta phase, where I was playing against a lot of players that are playing on hard difficulty. And how you might know, I don't really play the hard difficulty, so the early kobold attack actually ended my game right there, but I think it were more because I weren't really feeling good in the hard difficulty, and more on medium difficulty I never really had too much problems with the kobolds, because I usually got down the tower quite early. I realized that they could attack me in an early place, and fighting against those 4 kobolds with the tower is actually not that hard, and I think that a player who fails a little bit more home in the hard difficulty wouldn't have all too much problems with the kobolds even there. So the only thing I would maybe tweak a little bit is don't let them attack too early. I can't actually say how early they attack right now, but if they attack like from the end of 801 or something, I think that's a spot where most players will be definitely ready to deal with them and have no problems with them anymore. And it will of course then get the balance a little bit back, because it is of course a little bit unfair if you play a duel, for example, and you have the Jotnar on your side. The Jotnar are just standing around there, and the opponent has the kobolds on his side that are constantly attacking him and harassing him. So that is of course a little bit of an unbalance, but I actually think that we can work around that with the kobolds maybe attacking a little bit later, or actually changing something up about the Jotnar, while I don't really think if it makes too much sense to make them attacking. But of course, a problem that needs to be addressed, and a quite interesting question right here. The next question we're going about the trade win, and if Shiro is intending to actually fix it a little bit more. Atlethleon was saying that they are still on it. I would say that the trade win is actually at the best spot it were always, like the very old trade win where you just needed to get the gold were of course fun for everyone who tried to get the trade win. But just on fairness points, I would say the trade win is actually at the best point it has ever been. But of course there are still like a few little tweaks you can make there to make it feel a little bit more rewarding, like the lore victory, where you just get so many different laws that just help you to carry you through the game. I just think that just tweaking the resources a little bit that you get at the right points, or maybe make a few more points with a little bit less resources, something like that, could actually make it feel a little bit more ongoing rewarding, because just right now with only the 3 points, it is of course quite hard to reach those certain milestones. So maybe it would help there a little bit, while I can't really say what would be the perfect answer right there. Another question that came up were if they are currently working on a more in-depth diplomacy system, and they are actually. That would of course be a lot of fun for players like me that play a lot of FFAs in different games with communities, so you can really have like diplomacy stuff going on there, that you don't team up with the players just like for the game itself, so you can actually team up with the player and be in the same team with the player and attack a tile without your units attacking each other. And that would of course be super neat and would give quite some intrigues into the FFA section, and I would love that quite a bit to have that implemented. Of course the question came up when the next clan comes out and what it's going to be. No further informations on that. We will need to wait a little bit for a few weeks until we actually get a little bit more information about that, but it seems like there's actually something in the making. There were one question about the replay system and if we could gain some in-game statistics. Sadly, there's no one working on that right now. I guess that were also the obligatory question about the spectator mode right within here. And it's also nothing Shiro is working on right now. So with that question, I actually want to end the little AMA recap right here. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I covered all the questions that you thought were quite important in the AMA. Like I said in the start in the video, if you feel that I forgot something that you feel is very important, just put it down in the comments and we still can discuss about that right there. Thanks again to Weihnachtsmann to organize that whole thing. Thanks to Atlethleon to sit there and bear through all these questions with us. And I want to thank, of course, everyone who sent out love to me at the end of the AMA. That were really nice of you guys. A lot of props for you there. And yeah, really nice to have such a nice community around me here. With that, I want to end the video. Have a great day, everyone. Maybe see you back in the next video. Maybe leave a like or sub if you enjoyed this video. And see you back in the next one. Bye-bye.